Hello and welcome to the Evolve podcast, supporting you to rise above all your limits, connect with the power of your soul, and give and receive more love in all forms. I am your host, Tanya Penny. I'm an occupational therapist, an intuitive guide, divine channel and conduit, and author of the Connect with the Divine You book and journals. And in this episode, I'll be focusing on acceptance. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So I like to think about acceptance as the opposite of resistance. And if you'd like to learn more about how to move through resistance, you can go listen to that podcast episode. But in a nutshell, acceptance does not mean that you like something. I'm going to say that again, and I want you to really take that in. Acceptance does not mean liking something. So I think many of us even resist the word or the action of acceptance because we think, oh, that means we like it. And if we like it, that means it's not going to change. And that is absolutely the complete opposite. So for change to actually happen, acceptance needs to happen first. So acceptance is just simply acknowledging this is what is true in this very moment. This is the reality of this very moment. So the reality might be, you know what? The reality is right now, this is the way my body feels. Whether it's pain, whether it has excess weight, whether it has a diagnosis, fill in the blank. Acceptance might mean acknowledging I'm really having a lot of fear right now. And I'm bringing those two up because I feel like a lot of us, those are probably the two big areas that we resist or that we don't want to accept is something that we feel or are experiencing in our body and or an emotion. So I'll give you another example too. When I was diagnosed with MS and people that are diagnosed with cancer, whatever the illness is, there is often this tendency to fight it, to want to fight it, like fight MS, fight cancer, fight fill in the blank, whatever it is. And here's the thing, when we fight something, when we resist, fight, hate something. I used to hate my body and its symptoms, the fatigue, the numbness, the weakness. And if you make yourself wrong for something, so if you resist can look a couple different ways. It can look like fighting it, hating it, making yourself wrong, blaming yourself for whatever it is. Maybe it's a money breakdown, right? I'm going to say those are the top three, body stuff, emotions, and money breakdowns. Relationship breakdowns too. So if you are resisting, which can look like fighting, hating, making yourself wrong, being mad at yourself, blaming yourself, I guarantee that is going to keep you stuck in whatever it is. That is what creates stuckness and prevents change from happening. So the other thing that we want to be aware of is, and I did this, oh, I accept that I have MS. But it was a fake acceptance at first. It was, okay, I'm going to accept it because I know to accept it, if I accept it, it will possibly change. So it's almost like fake acceptance. So it's like, I accept it. And then, okay, I'm ready for it to change. I had to come to the point. Now, this is true acceptance. I have to come to the point where if it actually never changes, so if I actually had never, if the MS symptoms didn't actually ever go away, that I could accept that. Not that I wasn't going to do what I could do in order to heal it, to continue to heal it, whether it be the MS, relationships, money breakdown, but, and you don't want to have fake acceptance. Again, fake acceptance is, I'm going to accept it, and in parentheses, because now let's hurry up and change it. Okay, so true acceptance is being okay with it, not liking it, but being okay with whatever it is, accepting the reality, even if it never changes. And that is not easy, which is why acceptance is a hot, hot topic, especially now. Many of us are going through some pretty big meltdowns, some pretty big, let's just call it shit hitting the fan. Let's just call it what it is, shit hitting the fan type of stuff right now. So again, please, let's just acknowledge this is step number one. So how do we accept? Step number one is, what is it that you most do not want to accept right now? Let's acknowledge it. Let's just acknowledge. So I'll give you an example for me right now. I'll give you two examples. I just have been going through a pretty big release, upgrade, transition, whatever you want to call it. My sweetie just had surgery, triggered a whole bunch of fear stuff for me. We needed to move out of our home this past weekend. Our next home isn't available till May 10th. So it brought up, the fear of not having a home stuff, even though we're staying in this beautiful resort right now in Hawaii. And because the last 3 days, so Friday, surgery, Saturday, Sunday, moving out, I pretty much had to do it all on my own because my sweetie has surgery restrictions. And, it wasn't planned for this all to happen at the same time, but it did. And I could have fought it, right? But it is what it is. And my superwoman had a long list of things to do yesterday, including recording this podcast. And I woke up yesterday morning and I got clear guidance that, you know what? I really need to do pretty much nothing today in order to show up for myself emotionally, and also to integrate, allow myself to downtime to integrate and process this transition. And again, my superhuman did not like that, but I accepted that that is what I needed, even though I didn't like it. A part of me hated it, right? So again, what is it? Step number one, what is it right now that you most want to change in your life? In order to change anything, acceptance needs to come first. So grab a notebook, open a document on your device, and just acknowledge what in your life do you most want to change right now? And those are the things that most need acceptance. I was going to give you two examples. Another example is, because of everything that's been happening, I've had a lot of fear and a lot of my old protection stuff needing to come up, or is coming up. And one of the ways that my body reacts to feeling fear and like I need to protect myself is I will gain weight. And there's a part of me that really, really doesn't like to gain weight. Really doesn't like to gain weight because of everything I grew up with around weight. And so I've really had to accept, still working on it today, that this is what my body does when there is fear and like the survival mechanism kicks in. And I don't like it, but it is. It's what is right now. And if I got mad at myself for it, if I beat myself up for it, if I had anger and hatred towards my body, guess what? It's probably going to stay on a lot longer than if I love and accept This is just the way my body reacts. And as soon as the processing and the fear subsides and the weight will likely go away. And even if it doesn't, I'm going to practice loving, accepting my body as it is. So once you have taken a moment to write those things down that you are wanting to change, but you know you need to accept them first. So pick one of those, put a little heart around it, little X, little circle, just pick one. I'm going to pick that excess weight that I'm carrying in my body right now. And I'm actually going to do a podcast about that this month as well. So stay tuned. But pick whatever that is and just acknowledge it. This is the part of me. It could be a behavior. It could be a stuffing pattern. It could be a money issue. Again, anything. Think of all the different life areas. A career, a job, just whatever it is. And I want you just to close your eyes if you can. And if it's your body, just put a hand on your body. Maybe the area of the body that you're needing to accept, wanting to accept. And it's a practice. So acceptance is a practice, a daily practice. And you can even, if it's not your body, but think about the thing that you have not been accepting, that you've been resisting, fighting, hating, blaming yourself for. So just think about that. If it's not your body, if it is your body, you can put a hand on that area. And I want you just to acknowledge out loud, this fill in the blank is something that I really want to work on accepting right now. Doesn't mean I like it, doesn't mean I don't want it to eventually change. But I know this is the reality. This is what is right now in this moment. And just breathe and acknowledge that. Acknowledge what is right now. And breathing in acceptance towards whatever that is. As you breathe out, releasing the resistance, the fight, the blame, the anger at this situation or this part of you. So let's just do that for a few moments. Breathing in acceptance for this situation, this part of you. Perhaps it's a person that you're working on accepting. And breathing out all the resistance, the anger, the blame, the fight. And do that a few more times. Breathing in acceptance for this part of you, or somebody else, or the situation. Breathing out all that resistance to the acceptance. Knowing deep in your soul, your cells, that whatever you resist persists. And whatever you accept opens to solutions, opens to change. The possibility. It may take days, weeks, months. The more you can accept what is right now, the more it opens to the possibility of the shift. Remembering that whatever it is right now that you are working with, that your soul, remember the power of your soul. You chose this, the illness, the situation, the person, so that you could actually work on acceptance and overcoming the resistance, overcoming, again, our soul chooses things for lots of different reasons. So I'm speaking in general here. And people often ask, how long do I do this for? Well, you take some time to do it every day. And if you can, do it until you feel even a little bit of a shift. You might also use a guided therapeutic meditation practice. Everyone listening has a free sample to use. Many of you are in one of my programs and you have the different keys, the different life areas to work with. You might use a self-healing process. We might work on it in a one-on-one session together. This is a big piece of the work that I help people do, is working on acceptance. So definitely doing this mini practice a few minutes every day, if you can take longer, several times a day if you can, right? Just for 30 seconds, a minute. You might also want to use the essential oil of bergamot. It's the oil of acceptance, whatever you're working on accepting. And just know you can't do this wrong. You just simply show up. And if you have more than one part, more than one thing that you're working on accepting right now, give each of these things a little bit of love and attention every day. And have compassion for the part of you that is struggling with accepting it. So that's, excuse me, another piece. Let's do that for a moment. Let's breathe in compassion for the part of you that's struggling with the acceptance. So when you notice that you're struggling with the acceptance, you don't beat yourself up for that. You have compassion for that part of you. All right. So I hope that you found this helpful. This is something to get started with, a mini practice. If you know somebody else that you feel would benefit from this episode, please feel free to share it. And as always, sending you lots of love, lots of compassion, lots of hope. And don't give up. Whatever it is possible to shift it. And if you want more support, you can find the ways to do that below. All right, love you guys. Bye.